Hello, my name is Stephanie Toman, and this video-based learning is going to be on the ICDL Advanced Access, or database software as we call it, using Access. So it's going to be, as before, you can use it for 2016, 2019, and also Office 365. I'm actually demonstrating in 365, so you will see that there's very little difference if you've not used it yourself. The thing that we're going to be looking at in this series is relationships. So relationships in databases is really important. As you can see, this is the area that we're going to look over, starting with the primary keys, the most important beginning really, if you like, and then we're going to look at different relationships and how we can change how we work them and join them up, etc. Okay, so hopefully you'll enjoy this. Remember that you still have some slides that you can look at that will be part of your materials when you enroll with us, and this will give you some snapshots of some of the things that I'm talking about as I go along in the videos. Also, you'll have the actual software that I'm using, for example, in part of your materials, and in this case I'm going to be opening up the custom computers to do this. So you can use these to go along as well if you wish. So first of all, applying a primary key is what they call this section. Basically, when you're doing a relational database, that's when you've not got separate tables. Separate tables can cause so many problems because you have so much information duplicated in each table. Whereas if we relate them, then that reduces that information and we're not duplicating it either. But in order to do this, we need to have what they call a primary key, which is sort of a unique identifier, if you like, that allows us to relate these tables and makes each record unique. So we're using more than one table when we do relational. The unique identifier is really important, and this is going to be a particular field, usually something like a payroll number, serial number, not a date of birth, not a last name, because that's sort of going to be coming up over and over again. So it's got to be very unique. Another one is your BCS number. You've got the only one that's unique to you. Okay, so let's have a look at this. We've opened up the custom computers, and we're going to look at the computers table. So right-click into Design View. So you can see here there's lots of fields. This has got a primary key on it. You can see that there, the little key. And you can remove a primary key. So we could take that primary key off and we could try and use it on something else. If we did a primary key on something like model, it's not really appropriate. The first key for the serial number was much more appropriate because it is going to be unique. So we can remove it and we can pop it on there like that again. Note that when you put a primary key number, primary keys against a field, if we go down to its field properties, notice in the indexing, just down here, right down there, it says no duplicates. So yes, no duplicates, because you can have other fields indexed and have duplicates. But in this case, there is only one. There's only one unique. Changing the index for this field, remove the primary key, so we don't do anything with it. We just leave it as it is. And all other fields, as you can see, can be changed if you go into the indexes down here, and you can have them with yes duplicates, okay. But in this one, it's got a primary key. We're not going to be doing that. So this is the obvious choice, and it makes sense. It's going to work for us. So if we look at the, if we just close that and save it, and let's look at the repairs table. So let's open the repairs table. We can do it that way, go into Design View, or right-click and straight into Design View. It doesn't really matter. You can see this one's got job number on it, but it does have a serial number field, which is really important when it comes to joining things up. So let's just close this and go into the Database tab at the top, and then click on the Relationships. So the relationship window will allow us to add tables to it and then do these different types of relationships. So if we click on Add Tables, we have our computers, double click, and repairs. So you can see on this one, the serial number is the primary key, the unique identifier. If we open up the computers again and just have a look, all we've got is a flat database. So we've just got information across records, not related to anything else, but it does have a unique serial number. If we open up the repairs, same thing, flat database, but there's our serial number here, so we can connect them up. We've got the same thing. So back to here. So we're going to be using the primary key because the primary key is a unique identifier and it's called that. And when we join it up to the other one, the other serial number in another table, that is called the foreign key. So the primary key and the foreign key. Sometimes it's been called in the past as the parent and the child, but we'll stick with the primary key and the foreign key. So if we're just going to join them up, let's click on the serial number, hold the key down, make sure you drop right on top of the serial number here and let go. Okay, so now we can create that relationship and you can see now that there's a join between the two tables and this is a one-to-many. If we go back in by double clicking there, you can see the relationship one-to-many. You can right click on it and edit it and show relationships. There's the edit it there and you can see that it is a one-to-many. Hasn't had referential integrity applied. We'll talk about that later, but for now we've actually done a one-to-many, and that means that one record from the computers can have many related records in the repairs. So let's have a look at that. Let's look at what we've just done. If we go to the computers, and we've now got an expansion there where we can collapse that, and we can see that we've now got the repair table related to the computer table, and it doesn't have the serial number. It's not necessary. We've got it in the main one, in the primary one, and then it's got all the other information that you can have about that serial number. So you can see there one unique identifier, but you've got different orders and repairs relating to that. Okay, there's lots of different types of relationships. If we go back to having a look at some of the ways of looking at it through the slides that we've got, you can see that we've done these areas here and we've applied a relationship. So then we can look at the different one-to-many relationships. As I said, you've got a unique identifier that you may have for a computer, and then lots of repairs on that particular serial number that you've used. Then you've got a one-to-one relationship where they're just joined up, and it's used mainly, as it says here, to split large tables. But once again, you still have to have these these primary number and a coexisting foreign key on the other side that you're joining them up with. Many-to-many, not very common relationship, but as it said, an intermediate junction table with one-to-one relationship is created, and this allows you to join up tables that don't have coinciding or common fields that you can join up, as we did with the relation database that we looked at. So we're going to carry on looking at some other stuff. So let's carry on with our access database here, and you can see that that's what we've done with regard to our relationships. If you try to do anything to relationships while one of the things is open, so if I tried to delete this, it would tell me, are you sure you want to delete it? And it will affect anything that's open. So it's always generally best to have all tables related to what you're doing in the relationships window closed off so that you don't upset things. So the thing that we're going to look at next is we've looked at the different types of relationships very briefly, but the one-to-many is really the most used. So what we're going to look at now is how to make that, how to apply referential integrity. So if we once again go into the edit the relationship, so if we right click on it, we can do an edit. You've got to be sometimes a little bit like that to get in there. If you don't want to do it that way, and you go to the relationship database tools window, you can see that you can get through and you can do things in here. You've got the relationship design, and so you can do edit relationships that way and close it and things like that. So that option's there as well. But let's just do the right click nice and quick. So edit relationships. So if we did tick the enforce referential integrity, what we're doing is we're ensuring that when these tables are joined, let's just OK that, and you'll notice that you've got the 1 there and the sigma sign there. So that's a sign that these tables are related as a one-to-many, and they've had referential integrity applied. So if we right click on here again and just go into the edit relationships, there we go. You can see that by applying that, what we're doing is we're saying that you have to have a serial number in this case, or a unique identifier in the table, the first table, in order to put any information about the repairs for that order. So that serial number, if it has any repairs, you cannot add repairs unless that exists. So in other words, with your BCS numbers, if I didn't have your BCS number as a primary key, I could not add any information about your test results or anything like that unless there is a BCS number. If it comes to using these features here, if you decide to allow an inputter or whatever level of a database person is that deals with the database, if you allow them to cascade and update related fields, what you need to be aware of is if they update one area of the related databases, because there could be lots and lots of tables altogether, then it will just go in a matter of seconds. It will just run through and make all the changes necessary, that all those tables that are related to it will change. You won't really know what the change is, so always a good point to make is always make a copy of a database that you're about to make some changes on, especially changes like this, and that way you always have a previous copy to go back to and start again if things don't go to plan. The other thing is that there's the cascade delete related records, and this is really quite serious, because if I came along and I deleted a serial number in this case, all of the orders that are connected to it would be also deleted. And if I went in and I deleted a BCS number, or someone else did, all of those related records, test results, could be information, lots of different things, will all be deleted as well. So it's really important that when we have referential integrity, it's great because it stops duplication of information and it keeps it viable, if you like. So it's valid, viable, and there's a natural reason for keeping it that way. It keeps everything nice and tidy and stops duplication of data. Okay, for the applying joins, the next thing we're going to look at, I thought I'd bring up a slide just to help to clarify things. So what we've got is we've got 3 sorts of joins in Access when we're creating queries. So they affect the way that queries select records when related tables are involved, and that's what the heading says here. So the inner join is the default join. That's the one that's automatically applied, and that join will only bring up a query. If you create a query based on these 2 tables, it will display records where there's corresponding entry in both tables. So there has to have a computer serial number, and it has to have some repairs done to it. If we change that to an outer join based on the computers table, then you would have to have or the repairs table. Then the outer join means that if you want to display all computers in a query, whether or not they had a match in the repair table, you could define that as an outer join based on the computer table. If, however, you did an outer join based on the repairs table, then this would show all repair records, even if there was no associated computer record. The final one, the subtract join, is the opposite of the outer join. It includes only those records in one table that don't match any record in the other table. Okay, it sounds a bit complicated at this stage, but we're going to put it into practice by actually doing this. So what we're going to do is we're going to be continue using the custom computers, but we're going to use the computers and the repairs. So what I've done is I'll just start this again, just so that you can see how I've done this. So remember, we go to create, go to the query design. I'm going to bring on the computers onto the data, and I'm going to bring on the repairs as well. So you can see that they're sat there. I could close the computer in the background because I don't really need it, and it could interfere with things. So I've put a record in just to show you on the computer. So we open that up. I've just put this record in here that if we look at the orders, there are no orders being done on this computer record. So it's the only one. All of the others have. So you can sort of see what I'm starting to get at. This is the join that we're going to change, but let's just drop some things onto the table grid first in order to show this. So for the computers, we're going to drop the serial number and the model. And from the repairs, we're going to put the job number and the engineer and the date. So we can see all of those things down here. So the join is this area here we're going to, and I'm going to double click on that. So this brings up those join properties that we just briefly looked at in a slide. And you can see that at the moment it's the automatic default join, where you will only see queries coming back with information, extracted information, whereby you have information in both. So what we'd be expecting to see on this, if we run it, it's our query design, if we run it, we do not see the Pentaco or the one that I've just put in, the record that I put in earlier, because the Ban-to-Com Pentaco hasn't got an order repair. Okay, so it hasn't got a repair. Let's go back to the query again, and let's double click on it this time, and let's include all records from computers and only those records from repairs. So if we do this one, what we should see if we OK and then we run it is we can see the one that I put in. You can see that there's no information on the job number, etc., because it doesn't exist at the moment. So the last three fields are blank. Everything else is OK. If we then go back into the design, if we wanted to, so if we did that, that's an outer join. If we wanted an outer join where it only displays computer records without an order on its own, what we can do is in the job number, we can put in an is null. Click away, and if we run that, what we will see, in other words, there's no information in the job number, so the only thing it'll bring up, all the others do have that information, etc. So that will bring up the outer, using it in the criteria. And that actually is an example of a subtract join. So it's one that doesn't fit the other joins, the other outers and inner joins. It's a subtract join where you don't have the information, but you can still see the record. And that's by doing it under the job number. Next thing we're going to look at, I'd have a practice at these, by the way, and see how they come up. The next thing we're going to look at are self joins. Okay, so let's just close this and have a look at that. I'm not going to name it. I'll just leave it as it is. Close it off. And let's look at the next one. Okay, so we're going to look at a self joins, and this is when a table needs to be linked to itself. An example would be that we're going to look at is a staff table that has an employee number, and that's the primary key. There may be a field showing who each employee's manager is using the manager's employee number. But this employee number will already appear as a primary key for a record in the table. And managers are also employees. So to display the manager's name instead of their number in a query, a link to a copy of the staff table will need to be set up using manager as the link field. Once again, sounds a bit complicated. Looking at this result at the end, so instead of having just an employee number, we actually get the manager's name. We can draw that out by using a self join. Okay, so let's start. So let's open up the staff database. Let's go into design view. And we're going to open up the staff list table. Open up. There we go. Okay, so you can see what we're talking about. You can see the employee number, and you've got reports to, and it's a number again. So there's no actual names of managers as such, managers that might also be staff. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into design a query, and we're going to look at how we can do a self join and bring in the managers' names rather than just an employee number. So we're going to close that, and we're going to create a query into the query design. We're going to bring in the staff list. So the staff list has got quite a lot of information on it. As you can see, we opened it up earlier, and you open it up, it's got quite a lot of the stuff that we're after. We've got the reports to there, we've got the employee number, and other information that's not really relevant at this point. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to add another staff list. So we're going to duplicate that. So one has staff list and one has staff list 1. So it's the same thing. We're going to change the staff list 1 by right clicking on it and going to its properties. And then you can see in the alias here, let's just close this down, you've got staff list _1, and we're going to type in managers in there and close the property sheet, and you can see that now it's changed to managers. We're going to drag the reports to, because that's the one we want to find out who the person is, and that's got a number at the moment. So we're going to drag that to the employee number and link it to that in the now called managers table to create a link. And there's the link there. Okay, so it's a self-joining link because it's the same tables. So now we've done that, we can then drop some fields onto the grid. So from the staff list, we're going to drop in employee number, surname, first name, and then from the managers, we're going to do the add the surname. Okay. So what we need to do next is we need to think about changing the surname, if you like, because we've got 2 of them. So we need to change that to something else. So what we're going to change it to is manager. So click in there, click in the query design at the top, property sheets. There's your caption, because it's a caption this time, this area, not an alias. So we've got a caption there, and we're going to change that to managers, because we're hoping that this is going to be the one that has the names. Okay, so we've done that, and now we're going to run that and see what comes up. So if we run it, what we're hoping for, yes, we've got that, is we now have the employee number, which has always been the primary key, but now we've actually got, instead of a a sort of a number, an employee number for the managers, we've actually got a name. So notice how the manager name appears in the manager's field and not their employee number, as I've just said, because this self-join has been enabled us to look up the corresponding name for each employee number entered in the reports to field. So that's the one we linked to an employee number. It's a self-join, but it's still either an in or outer join. In fact, it links to a copy of the same table, so it makes it a self-join. So like the any relationships, it can be deleted, modified, and changed. So if we go back and we double click on here, as it says, it still holds an element of those things that we looked at earlier with regard to different join properties. But really useful. Try it, have a go at it, and you can see how you can change how something looks and makes it much easier to see what you need, what information you need. So thanks for watching, and if you need to look at some of the further videos that will be there for you to help, please do. Thank you.